Did you notice something? Jesus didn't talk about heaven there. Interesting. Zacchaeus met Christ that day. And because of what transpired in his heart, Jesus worked through with him the restoration of the physical. Ooh. You see, that's the pain that we talked about last week. That you're going to get involved in people's lives. You're going to have to help them be healed and restored. That's Christianity. Coming to Christ is only half the part. What do you do with them? This is why so many churches, you hear it, I've heard it for 33 years. Oh, maybe they weren't with us. They fell to the wayside. Maybe they weren't really Christians. No, maybe you didn't care enough to help them through their drug issue or their bad marriage or whatever it was. You know, maybe their daddy beat them. I don't know. Maybe you weren't there to help them through whatever it was that choked them off. Ooh, it's personal. So here's the thing. Go on. Next. How did Jesus minister hope? He met them where they were in their sins. That's messy. But that's what you and I have to do. These are the three things that we have to do if hope is going to come about people's lives. You have to meet people where they are. Ooh, painful. This is why we don't do door-to-door, you want to take a survey, evangelism. How are you going to build a relationship with that? This is why I don't do big room evangelical rallies. Come meet Jesus. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay, now who's going to follow up? Now that they've been given birth, who's going to follow up? Follow up is everything. You see, we have to meet people in their sins. Here's the second cool thing. This is really cool. This isn't the text here. Jesus ministered up. I don't think it was any coincidence that Zacchaeus was up in that tree. Jesus ministered up to the person. We will not have a condescending ministry. Yes, I'm going to talk about hard things. Hair, Bill, the guys, they're going to talk about hard stuff. They're going to speak the truth in love. And sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's painful. Well, excuse me, if you have a splinter the size of an I-beam, it's going to hear it coming out. But there is no right. We have no right to be condescending. We have no right to put people's sin down. There go you and I, by the grace of God. Jesus ministered up. The only time Jesus lost his temper, hear this now, the only time that Jesus lost his temper and got angry and got mad was when stupid Christians, people who were supposed to know better, were messing with lost people. It's the only time he lost his temper. It's the only time he spoke in anger. Does that mean I have the right to get off on Harold camping? Yes, I do. Because he's leading people astray. Do I have the right on my Facebook account to say one of my hopes and prayers for 2011 is that Joel Osteen actually says something theologically deep worth smiling about? Yes. Because what happened? You're saying, what were you? Quick little rabbit trail. Okay, quick little rabbit trail for the camera. When I'm out in public, do you know what they want? People who don't know me want to ask me? What do you think of Joel Osteen? Number one stinking question I get. Not, how's campus ministry going? No, not, how's your bread ministry going? Hey, what do you think of that Joel Osteen with his millions of people watching him? Number one, when I went to my class reunion, the two of them, that was the number one question when they found out I was clergy. What do you think of him? I watch him every week. He's a jerk, he's stupid, he smiles too much, he says nothing. I don't even like his jokes. Say something theological. By the way, here's why I get off on him. He was on Larry King. He was asked the question. He was asked the question. He was asked the question that every person who has ever cared about reaching lost people ever would want to be asked. With 40 million people watching. And guess what his answer was? It just was inconsistent. He didn't have an answer. How do you become a Christian? Why be a Christian? He got the answer wrong. And I'm like, you have a $500 million a year ministry? Don't give to people like that. Anyway, by the way, that's how Jesus treated the heretics that were out there, that were Christians. He spoke harshly about them. But when it comes to somebody who's sincerely wrong, who doesn't know Christ, who's never been actually taught what right is, you and I are to extend them grace and minister up and love them. You want to feel my wrath? Mess with the kids or potential kids. We have to minister up. Another thing we have to do. Jesus helped them through the restoration process. Let's go back and look what Jesus said here. Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Behold, half of my goods I will give to the poor. And if I had defrauded anyone, anything, I will restore it fourfold." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to your house." Jesus helped him through the process of restoration. The man was a crook. By the way, this still goes on today. He was a tax collector. Do you know in Upper Chichester, I grew up there, Upper Chi, in the last 30 years, the only thing that's changed with tax collectors is the amount of money they got caught stealing. When I was a little kid, I think it was like $5,000. Then when I was in high school, they got caught with $25,000. Then about 10, 15 years ago, it was $350,000. Still in Upper Chi, when you pay your taxes, you make it out to the tax collector's name. You think we would have figured out that that might be the problem of putting it in their name? It's been going on 2,000 years. They're still stealing money. God got a hold of this tax collector's heart, and he says, "I must make restitution." And God himself worked through his life, helping him restore his place in the community. You and I have got to do that. We got to help people, which means we got to bear one another's sins. We got to put up. We have to have patience. Oh, Lord, so much, you know? I feel like Moses sometimes. Oh, Lord, but so much. What the lady once said, God gives grace, but why so much? You know? We have to get to the place of our personal experience to not preach cheap grace. Offering forgiveness and acceptance from God without calling for any change in lifestyle or business practice. Zacchaeus, when faced with his redemption, he was changed. Matthew 6:12 says, forgive our debts as we have forgiven our debtors. This is, by the way, why we don't flippantly do the Lord's Supper. Because it's about right relationships. We don't take it without first allowing our people to make things right amongst ourselves, because Lord's Supper is about unity. It's about you not having a fit with somebody else in the congregation. So when we will have Lord's Supper, we will typically announce it 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Why do we do that? It's not to let you know that we're having it. It's to let you know, go make things right. Because it's about unity. Matthew 18:35 and Matthew 6:14 through 15. So my heavenly Father will also do for every one of you if you do not forgive your brother and your brother and sister from your heart. Both Jeremiah and John teach that peace with God is inseparable from doing justice for the poor and helping those in need. Jeremiah 22 verses 13 through 16 and 1 John 3:17. The prophets harshly denounced the Israelites because they thought they could please God with worship while they continued to oppress the poor.